And we're back here on the Stogie Geek Show. That's right. This is the Stogies of the Week segment. I want to mention our sponsors, OceanStateCigars.com even. You can go there and find out all about the J. Grotto Series cigar. We'll be broadcasting live from there. Probably not next week or the week after. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but we'll be there again. We'll also be at the Havana Club. You can go to the Havana Club. You can go to our own website, StogieGeeks.com. Click on the coupon for a $5 off a cigar and a drink from the Havana Club. So make sure you check out our sponsors, Ocean State Cigars / Mr. J Havana Smoke Shop, which is the retail side of things, and the Havana Smoke Shop, Havana Club.
To those guys that listen to us locally, too, those are two really great places to either buy your cigars or
go have a drink and a
the Havana
smoke.
Cigar
Right.
Club, too, is
go
see Kara, have a nice drink. And
absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Alrighty. Where are we starting? We're just going to start with the smokes of the week.
Let's do it.
Let's dive right in.
I'm fired up about this week. I am really fired up.
Why don't you go first, Will, because you're really fired up about this week.
All right, I'm going to go in order. And this is by no means, this is just the order I posted them in.
Okay.
But I'm going to start off with a cigar. It just got released at IPCPR. It's called the Lou Rod. Lou Rod is short for Lou Rodriguez Cigars. Now, Lou Rodriguez Cigars is a boutique company. They're totally vertically integrated. So they have their own farms, they have their own factory, and they have their own distribution and sales force. And they're based in North Carolina. If folks aren't familiar with Lou Rodriguez Cigars, it's a cigar you might really want to check out. Lou's actually a terrific guy. He's a CRA ambassador, but he's also a surgeon. He's an ER surgeon. So he's a doctor, and that's always good to have in our industry. He's been famous for making, or known for making, cigars that are smaller size and box press. And his price points are a little higher. So with the Lou Rod, he actually went in a very different direction in that he came out with a value price cigar under $6 in a 60 ring gauge. And this is the Lou Rod 6x60. He's actually got a smaller 60 that's also coming out. And this is a really good 6x60. It's one of these cigars that, you say, 60, I don't want to smoke it, but it's blended. You could when you taste the cigar, you'll see it's blended for the 6x60. The construction's impeccable. It burns, it draws terrific. Wonderful flavors, natural tobacco, coffee, cream, and Seth from Seth's Humidor, who's a blogger I am really friendly with, made a great comment. He mentioned marshmallow sweetness, and after I wrote my review and read his, I said, "Yep, he nailed it. It's got this marshmallow sweetness with it." I gave it a box.
Wait, marshmallows.
Marshmallow sweetness.
Okay.
One of two marshmallow sweetness comments I'm going to make this week.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an absolute box split in my book. This is a cigar for $6. You really can't go wrong. I enjoyed it a lot. Box split.
A $6 6x60 is a box split. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, check it out. I will try to get some up your way as well. I want to try to get Lou on the show. He's a wonderful guy to talk to.
I actually have I acquired two of his box press Lanceros
in that pack,
that
pool when the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And I've never smoked them, but
they're good. They're good. I'm going to have a couple more smokes of the week in upcoming weeks as well. They're good cigars.
So before we go on to the next one, what did you guys think of the Anoranzas? Mark
I think
Jr.?
This is a really very good cigar. It started off with some nice. I agreed with what Barry said about it. The wood and the nuts and that kind of.
I got a lot of the wood and the nuts in the first third.
Yeah.
But I also got some a peppery spice in the beginning as well that has kind of mellowed out over the smoke. But he didn't mention that, and I thought it was very pronounced to me in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he didn't mention it, but I'm digging it. I think it's good.
Well,
yeah. I like it. I'm not a Bellicoso fan, but this cigar, you don't feel like you're smoking a Bellicoso at all. Draws great. I agree with the flavors. I don't think there's anything more I can add really flavor-wise. I'm down to the last third, and it's still got a lot of nice flavor to it.
I'll agree with you on that Bellicoso thing there, Coop. But I will say this, though, as well. When I smoke a Bellicoso that I like, they're typically something I really like because of that, I think.
Yeah. Well, right. When you get a bellicoso that can draw, it doesn't get soft by at the top. That's when I know it's a good bellicoso. That's when I feel it's a good one.
Yeah, my Corona started off with the flavors we mentioned. In the middle, I felt like I got lost a little bit. Now, as I mentioned in the final third, it's really good. It's picking up a lot of like rich, little bit of tobacco sweetness. I really like the Corona size. Too bad it's not regularly available. It's pretty good.
Well, to whoever wins that prize pack,
Yeah.
you're going to enjoy it.
You're going to like the Corona a lot, I think.
My Robusto is good.
Excellent. Okay, Mark Jr., over to you.
Well, where do we want to go? Do we want to jump right into it, or do we want to wait a minute?
So we have an Oasis level cigar.
Let's wait a minute. Let's build up to that a little bit.
We've got an Oasis level cigar. Before we talk about the Oasis level cigar, we should plug something. We should plug episode 350 of Paul.com, and I forget what it's going to be, episode 70 something of Stogies, 72 of Stogies, October 25th. Okay, so that's a week where we're not going to be broadcasting at a regular time. Friday, October 25th, we're going to be broadcasting at lunchtime. And we're going to do a very special show. We're trying to get a special guest on the show. We're going to smoke something from the special guest who has ties to the charity that we're supporting that day. So that day, I'm going to be podcasting all day long. Lunchtime's going to be Stogie Geeks. The charity is Wings for Warriors. That's wingsforwarriors.org. Came recommended by Mark Jr.
Yeah, Doc Amin, the guy who runs it, is a really fantastic guy, and it's a really interesting story.
It is.
Right?
And you're going to hear his story. Well, if you listen to the Paul.com show, Anthony's going to come on the show and talk. I'm trying to get him to come here. Yeah, his wife just had a baby. So
and we know how that is.
We all know how that is,
but,
right?
I'll say this. Very interesting guy. Very passionate about veterans' rights.
Yes.
And
so his charity supports wounded veterans.
But specifically their rights.
Yes.
Not just anything randomly out there. It's specifically geared towards veterans' rights and getting, their...
And one of the things I really liked about the Wings for Warriors was it wasn't just about getting money to people who are wounded, right? It's doing things like making sure the travel for the families of family member who's been wounded in combat, that they get money to travel. Well, because think of it this way: like we live in Rhode Island, but you may have a family member who was wounded in action, and they may be in San Diego somewhere in a military hospital. So now you got to go see them every week.
It's very interesting. I remember I met him 2 years ago. Well, it was last summer actually at the Quad State Herf in New York. A good friend of mine puts it on out there. Great event for those who can go. And they also benefit this charity, but he was wounded in battle, and he, as some of you may know, when you get wounded in battle, you get treated at Bethesda Medical Center. It's a fabulous medical center, and you get tremendous treatment. But if you're from San Diego, your family lives in San Diego, and you're in bad shape in Bethesda, and your family wants to be with you. And you know what? They'll do a good job of making sure your family can come visit you and things like that.
Yeah.
And
the story really touched me.
I don't
want
to dig into it too much because I want him to do it because he really opened my eyes to some issues there.
Yeah.
And I want him to do it because he's going to do a much better job than we will.
And how many charities do you reach out to where the person that founded the charity called my personal phone, called me on the phone to ask about our event and ask that? So that really meant a lot to me as well. So I'm super excited about the day again, October 25th. Make sure you tune in on that day and make sure that you donate to the charity that we're supporting. I think it's an important thing we do with all of our listeners. I like to make sure that at least once or twice a year that we use our listeners and subscribers and the cigar family, as we say, to donate to a good cause. So
absolutely.
All right. Do you want to talk about our Oasis cigar? Because we just can't wait.
No.
Okay, we're going to wait.
We wait.
Okay, let's wait.
So my first cigar was the Camacho Corojo Bold Robusto Tubo. This is, from the new rebranding effort that Camacho has done. It's a 5x50 Robusto. It's all Corojo. The wrapper is Corojo 5th priming. The binder is Corojo. The filler is a 3rd priming of Corojo.
Now, where did you get this one?
I got it at the local.
Okay, so they have them in at the Mr. J's?
Yeah, he had them in a box behind the counter. And
so it might have been a sample or whatever.
Sure, yeah. I linked right to Coop's breaking of this story, so I won't get into too much of that. Read it. He did a phenomenal job.
Camacho never had a tubo either.
Not that
to my knowledge.
No.
I don't remember seeing Camacho tubos.
The first thing when you look at this cigar, you look at it's drastically different in terms of the
their
band
bands
and
are
stuff.
too,
and the band is
Yeah.
really cool. When you take it off, it actually makes a like an entire image other than just the way you see it on the cigar.
Oh, I
it's
see.
It's kind of
Yeah.
transformative
Yeah.
when you take it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a Transformer band.
That being said, it's called the Bold, but I didn't find it to be particularly bold. In fact, I kind of found it to be rather mundane. It started off with a nice Corojo sweetness, but it didn't hold up for very long. After the first third, I really didn't get much flavor. I didn't find it to be bad. And it is reasonably priced at like $6.50.
Yeah, they are pretty reasonably priced.
So, hey, I think this is a solid angler, and it's something that I certainly would buy and smoke while I'm golfing or fishing or something like that. But, it just,
I think it was the Criollo that you liked, Will.
I like the Criollo the best, probably of the 6 cigars they now have in the line. There's 4 reblends, and I think the Criollo definitely stands above the others. I haven't had the Corojo Maduro yet. Mark, how was the burn on that thing?
a little honky.
I've had some issues with that burn from different shops and a couple of the blends too. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. Maybe it's just
like I said, it wasn't a bad cigar, but it's nothing to write home to mom about.
Yeah, I didn't. The Corojo I smoked, I kind of felt the same way. It was more of an angler type cigar for me.
I think the Criollo has got a lot more interesting things to it. That's the bright yellow band.
Yeah.
Aging room. I smoked an aging room small batch M21. This is the Perfecto size from Aging Room, who is actually scheduled to be on the show. Who is it from?
Rafael Nadal.
Yes, is scheduled to be on the show.
Not Rafa Nadal.
Different person.
The tennis player.
No, this is the... No.
The Aging Room M21 becomes the third small batch, joining the M356 and the Quattro F55. It represents a calendar date, is what those numbers and letters mean. This is coming from the Cigar Coop's preview blog. Let's see. This is a 5 3/4. Nope, this is not a 5 3/4 by 47. Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a 5 3/4 by 47. Sorry. They are packaged in 10 count boxes, and 3,000 boxes were produced. Now, I smelled the foot and the wrapper, and no doubt to me, the first flavor that came to mind, and I had to sniff it multiple times, was cinnamon. It was definitely cinnamon.
Okay.
I lit the cigar up. The flavor was definitely the same. I got cinnamon. I don't know if that's because it was in my head of what the flavor I got when I lit up, but it definitely had, to me, what tasted like a cinnamon component. And you guys know me. I'm not really big on pinpointing these flavors down to things like the different types of cinnamon or whatever. But it was very smooth with a touch of sweetness. Now, some of that dissipates. A lot of it dissipates, actually. You get some rich tobacco flavors. And the finish was just okay for me. The first half was so good, though. I'm saying pick up a 5. I think if they age and the entire stick holds up more of those flavors, I think that these are definitely going to be box-worthy. But for me, it was a 5.
Okay. I said it was box-worthy. But
yeah. I really enjoyed it. That first half really was phenomenally good.
I agree.
Now, I did smoke this after the Oasis cigar that I smoked. So
well, that might have
clouded my judgment.
More powerful cigar, guys, that Maduro or that Fortissimo?
Yeah. Totally agree.
What, the Maduro?
We're gonna smoke the Aging Room Maduro when they come on the show.
Okay, yeah, because I surprisingly thought the Maduro was still stronger.
Will, back to you.
So I smoked this week a new cigar by Rocky Patel. It's called the Royale, and they're calling it the RP Royale. Now, the interesting thing about the blend, this cigar kind of information started trickling out back in May. Originally, some information came on Cigar Dave, then some information came in Cigar Insider. The blend was being reported different ways. The constant was an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper and a box press, but the blend now being listed is Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a double binder consisting of Connecticut broadleaf and Connecticut shade, and a Nicaraguan filler. I smoked the 6.5 by 54 box press. It had a lot of flavors of an Ecuadorian Sumatra. It had red pepper. It had some notes of coffee in there, earth, cream, a little bit of citrus in the background. Burn and draw were really good. Here was what I kind of looked at this cigar, and I had it as a fiver. Rocky Patel has Ecuadorian Sumatra box presses already with the decade and the vintage 1992. I just don't know where he's going with this cigar because he's got 2 already, and now he's going for another Ecuadorian Sumatra box press. I just don't know how it's going to stack up with those 2.
Well, I have 2 questions about this. Did it have cheese, and did you follow it up with a tasty drink?
I think of the Royale with cheese too many
Royale with cheese. You know what? Until you said that, I didn't think.
Sorry, I'm just responding to someone in the...
That's my favorite. But for those of you out there, that's my absolute favorite movie of all time. So I could not help myself. So I'll jump into my next.
Go ahead while I respond.
I smoked a Ortega Series D No. 7 Natural. I had gotten a sampler last summer. Actually won it in a raffle at that Quad State Herf, as a matter of fact. And I've been smoking through it over the past year. This is my favorite size so far that I've had out of it. I've always been a fan of Eddie Ortega and what he's done in the cigar business in terms of the fact that even back when he was with EO, I think he's done a good job of releasing cigars at a very reasonable price and still very enjoyable. This cigar had a great deal of pepper spice and with a nice woody sweetness, similar to, like, I said this as similar to the woody flavor you'd get out of, like, a smoked meat or, like, a jerky type, hickory, if you will, something of that nature.
Hickory.
I don't know if that's exactly right, but I'm going to go
Sounds
with
good.
it. It didn't change up much, but I found it pleasing to me. It's probably a fiver, and I do definitely prefer these naturals over the Maduro cousins. So, I thought it was a fiver.
Nice. Let's see. Next up on my list, if I can find it.
Skip it.
We changed our blogging format, so I smoked the Casa Miranda Chapter 1.
No, it's a Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Sorry, I'll
right
fix that in the
It
notes.
says right on the band. Chapter 2.
It does say right on the band. Is it still an Ecuadorian Habano and Nicaraguan binder and filler?
No,
Probably
no,
not.
that's the one.
Sorry, I made a mistake there. In any case, I smoked the Chapter 2. Thank you. This was a good cigar, not bad. Some mild spice, a little tobacco sweetness. I enjoyed smoking it. However, it didn't really stand out from the pack enough for me to keep me entertained for the entire smoke. Admittedly, my standards are kind of high, right? I believe the cigar will do very well in the market. I think people will gravitate towards this stick, and many will probably buy boxes regularly, especially if the burn, draw, and construction was like this one. I mean, it was completely spot on. Throwing price in the mix is $10 for a Robusto. That may hold some people back. I was hoping for a little more flavor and complexity. For my $10, I put it as a 2.5. Try one.
So I smoked one as well. I smoked a Corona Gorda. It looks like we smoked 2 different sizes.
Okay.
From what I could find, I couldn't find any information on the binder, but the wrapper was the Nicaraguan Corojo. The filler was Brazilian, Nicaraguan, and Dominican Republic. I never had a chance to smoke the Chapter 1, but I did have some construction issues with mine. There was 2 small voids in it, which kind of unfortunately ruined this experience for me. But the beginning was enjoyable. So I didn't rate mine because of that. I didn't think it would be fair off of one smoke to say so, but I thought I'd throw my 2 cents in on the blend.
Okay. Will, back to you.
Okay. Went with the La Flor Dominicana Colorado Oscuro No. 5, which is the 5 3/4 by 60. And there was a reason why I went with that is this is actually a cigar that's annually released by La Flor. And when I first reviewed it a couple years ago, that was the size I smoked. So I want to kind of go back and revisit the 2013 release, which was just launched at the trade show. It's another Ecuadorian Sumatra cigar I smoked this week. Has a Dominican wrapper, Dominican Sumatra binder, and Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. When I smoked this a couple years ago, I had burn issues galore, and this one really smoked a lot better. The flavor seemed more mature. It had notes of it had a lot of pepper. Grass and earth, some coffee notes as well. In the middle of the cigar has this nice chocolate flavor that kind of emerges. I think the middle of that cigar is actually the best part of it, which sometimes is we've talked about. You always remember the beginning and the end, but it was really the middle that I thought was good with this. This cigar kicked my ass, strength-wise. I was surprised how strong it was. I had a buzz for the rest of the day after that thing. Overall, I gave it a 5. I think it's better than what I had 2 years ago, and it comes in crates of 50, so I couldn't really. But I still, even if it came in 20, I'd still say a 5 for this one.
Mark Jr., what did you light up? People in the chat are asking.
I lit up the. I never can remember which one's which, but it's from that Singular release from last year where it came with the 11 and the 12.
Yeah.
One being Maduro, one being natural. I lit up the natural.
That's the 11. That's technically the 11.
Okay. So there you go, Will.
Yep.
Thanks, Will. It's the 2011.
I lit up the Fuente Añejo Shark.
Ooh.
This might be from, I don't remember with it. This may be from 2 years ago or last year. I'm not sure which. Will, are you still smoking your Anoranza?
Yep, I'm about finishing up. This is my 4th stick of the day, so I'm gonna be going to something smaller, a bait fish after this.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool. Let's see. That means I'm up again, right?
Yeah, since I jumped in with that, backed you up on that Casa Miranda.
I smoked the Aroa Prensado. This is the short Robusto. Now, I'm not sure which size we smoked originally. Do you remember, Mark Jr.?
I think I smoked this.
Okay.
I smoked this size, I think. If
I
I'm
might
not
have smoked the
mistaken.
Robusto, the first size.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I wasn't a huge fan when I first smoked this one. This is a Honduran Puro from Christian and Aroa, but I smoked the 4x48. And maybe I did smoke the size before. Maybe I smoked the Robusto. I don't know. But this one, I tell you what, I get it now. I was really happy with this one. I love this size. The smaller size, I think, is really awesome. It's very well balanced, a nice mixture of spice and sweetness. It was great from start to finish. I mean, I'd smoke more of these. They come in boxes of 10. So I say go for it. You'll be happy. I rated it box worthy. I really liked my second going at it. And I wanted to mention that for our listeners. Sometimes the smokes of the week that we mention that we talk about, we only smoke one of. So sometimes you'll see duplicates in there, and we'll go back and smoke them again and kind of update our assessment on them as well. So this is definitely one. I liked my second one a lot. So
Hey, you made a comment when we were talking to Barry about how sometimes a cigar from a certain region will strike you as not typical to that region.
Mm-hmm.
This really is a good example of that with Honduran tobacco.
absolutely.
I found I'm not the biggest Honduran fan. I think we've made that plenty clear. This is by far and away my favorite Honduran Puro that I've ever had, period.
Yeah.
By far and
I don't
away.
believe, no one believes it's a Honduran Puro.
No.
Oh, absolutely. It's dead. I agree with you guys. You guys are dead on.
Now, Will, have you smoked a few of these or sampled it?
Yeah, I have, and I agree. It's got this unique sweetness to it. It is in the running for my top 10 this year.
And I tell you what,
I think it might be in mine too.
the spice is really well balanced on it as well. Like I talk about balance, it really balances sweetness and spice, and it's not an overpowering cigar by any stretch of the imagination, which makes it very versatile. You can smoke it in the morning. You can smoke it. I think they really hit a home run with this blend, and I didn't get it the first time I smoked it. Maybe it was too new when it came. Maybe they had just come in or whatever it was, but I got it this time, and I'm definitely saying it's box worthy, especially when they come in boxes of 10. The boxes of 10 kind of warp our rating system a little bit, right? When we say box worthy,
Sure they do.
So
That's usually a box split.
Yeah, it probably would be a box split if it was a box of 25, though I'm not sure if these things are going to age, right? We want to talk about aging potential, and I think this has some aging potential on it, too.
Okay.
So, Mark or Will?
Coop, why don't you go ahead?
All right, so this was my smoke of the week, and we had, as you know, Casey Johnson on a couple weeks ago, and he talked about the Extensión de la Racine ER13, which is the IPCPR only release. So if you're a retailer who went to IPCPR, this was the only way you can get the cigars by placing an order right at the show in person. So the cigar is it's a one-time release in a 5 and 7/8 by 52 Toro, and Casey told us next year they'll probably flip the size again. It's a Nicaraguan sun-grown Criollo 98 wrapper, a double binder featuring that Sancti Spiritus, which we talked about on the show, and a Nicaraguan filler. And this was one I kind of, when I smoked it, I had that spirit of Stogie Santa going, oh, when he loves a cigar, and I think if you like the original Latelier, you're gonna really like this cigar. It kind of picks up where the original core line left off. It's got that natural tobacco. It's got some of that caramel sweetness, and then this is the other cigar where I picked up a little of that toasted marshmallow. So I don't know if I had it in my head from when I smoked the Lou Rod, but love this cigar. I did not rate it because this was a show sample, but this is all the makings of a box-worthy cigar. Tremendous aging potential on this thing. This is going to be a cigar I think you're going to want to get when it hits the shops, because I don't know how many boxes the shops are going to be allocated. So,
Fair enough.
I'm
very excited for it.
Speaking of Latelier and that wrapper, I smoked a Latelier Lat 46 Selection Special. And I wanted to kind of go through, this is one of the things I want to start doing on the show, is a lot of other folks on the show have rated this cigar. So this is, again, the Sancti Spiritus wrapper, Nicaraguan binder and filler. It's a Corona Gorda. We've talked about it on the show a lot. Now, Tim rated the cigar 2.5, try one. Mark Jr. reviewed it twice on the show and gave it a box worthy. Will's assessment of this cigar was a 93 with a memorable assessment on it.
That's Friday I did that.
Yeah, I got lots of nice spice and pepper. It was more of a milder spice, not so much in your face, pepper and spice that makes you cringe, but you can definitely tell it's there. The spice and pepper I find hang around for a while. It's got this interesting tea flavor that I read a lot of other reviews, and they all talk about this tea flavor, and I definitely got kind of what I would deem as kind of an herbal flavor component to it, but I think tea is a more accurate description of it. I get that. It's not very prominent, but it's kind of there in the background. With boxes of 10, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm giving it a box worthy as well. I think that these are going to age phenomenal.
Very well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree 100%.
I think that they're going to be more balanced. I think that spice and pepper is going to go a little more to the background, and that those nice sweetness is going to come through in this cigar.
Completely agree.
In a year, I've really been, when I first smoked them, when they came right after the show, I was like, I didn't get it. Then about 6 months later, I revisited it, and I really liked it. And then I revisited it again about 3 weeks ago. That's why it wasn't in my smokes of the week last week. And it was even at another level. And I agree, there's more aging potential with these guys. We haven't heard the last of these guys yet.
Mark Jr., back to you.
Yeah, I smoked the Licia Tobacco White Robusto. It's a 5 by 52, so it's like a Robusto Gordo, really. Sun-grown African wrapper, Ecuadorian binder, Nicaraguan, Dominican, and Pennsylvania filler. They're $7.15. The stick is a return to the business for the creator of the Nub brand. The white has been billed as a full-flavored, full-strength cigar. I would respectfully disagree. I found this cigar to not be bad by any stretch of the imagination. It had some earthy notes and some creaminess. In my opinion, it's a medium cigar. Good, not great, but try one and form your own opinion. That's what I would say.
Will, back to you.
Went with the Room 101 Series HN 305, which is a Robusto. So this is a new cigar that was released just prior to the trade show by Matt Booth and Room 101. It's intended to be a core line release. really what they've been doing with Room 101 in the last few years is they're building these core lines around regional wrappers. So they came out with a Connecticut 2 years ago. They came out with a San Andreas last year. And now they're going with a Honduran Criollo 98 wrapper this year. It's not a Honduran Puro. So it's got Brazilian Matafina on the binder, and it's got some Honduran Criollo Ligero and Dominican Navarrete in the filler. The 305, as I mentioned, is a 5x50 Robusto. Very, very good cigar, and very well-balanced cigar, I thought. Notes of wood, earths. It had red pepper, chocolate, and this crisp lemon sweetness, and I went about and smoked several of these, and every time I got this kind of like lemon sweetness, which not overpowering, not acidic, but just really balanced it real well. This cigar had a little more firepower than I thought from this blend, and I think it's some of that Ligero in there. So it's almost a full-strength cigar. It's definitely the flavors are full-bodied there. I rated this cigar actually a box split. It's a good cigar, and I think that if folks who don't smoke Matt Booth's stuff, they may want to look at this cigar. It's different. It's very different than what he's done. I think Matt's really matured as a blender from the days when he had the original Room 101 and the Conjura. So this is a cigar you guys should check out.
Yeah, I never thought any of the Room 101 stuff was bad. I don't think it ever made it into my regular smoking rotation, but they were pretty good cigars.
You know, Matt actually for those first two releases, he just felt he actually doesn't even smoke them anymore. He just doesn't like them, and he felt that he didn't get the right advice early on. He didn't blend something that he wanted to blend. So I think since really he released Namakubi, which I think Namakubi is one of his best cigars, he's really matured as a blender, and I think he's coming out with different cigars. He knows his cigars aren't for everybody. He's told me that with the San Andreas, but he's trying to fill different niches with his line.
Let me ask you guys this. This is a question that we've talked about a little bit on the show in the past, and listeners in the chat are asking, how do you know if a cigar has aging potential? What are some characteristics of cigars that have aging potential? It's a tough question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coop.
I know we talked, for example, when Stogie Sano was on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the East Stunner.
Yeah.
There's reputation plays a lot into that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just know that they have a track record. You know that's good. From something more tangible, I find when there's this pepper that's not a smooth pepper. It's a very
almost a harsh
very rough.
Pepper. Yeah, rough.
Yeah,
harsh.
It's very rough, and it just that feels young. In terms of whether it's going to be better potential or not, I look for other notes that maybe I can pick up on there.
I think that's a great point, and that's what I look for a lot too. If I find something that has something that draws me to it, whether it be, a specific flavor or a general feel to the cigar that is pleasurable, but it maybe has a slight bitterness to it or something like
bitterness
that.
Or unbalanced or harshness, but you can also pick up those flavors in the background that you know will be good.
Exactly, exactly.
Yep.
That age will kind of mellow those aspects of a cigar out and will lend itself to aging a little bit.
Well, I find sometimes, too, that in general sense, that if you get a lot of spice and pepper from the cigar, that'll mask some of the flavors. And I find that spice and pepper are the things that will come down over time and be more in the background.
And the sweetness will come up.
Come up.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's how I think the primary thing we're engaging with aging potential.
Sure.
You know, I've been going back and listening to some of the old shows because just kind of getting familiar. And Paul Joyle was on when he was talking about the silk, and and he was talking about how a Connecticut. It's very hard with a Connecticut shade wrapper because it's a milder cigar. And it's very difficult because it's so focused on flavor there. And what I find with a Connecticut cigar is if you're not picking up if you're just getting very bland flavors, it's probably not going to age better. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but when I heard Paul's comment on it, it really hit home on that.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. We did Will. I did my. Let me do one of mine. Let's see what else I got in here. Sorry, I apologize.
I'll jump in while you're looking.
Go ahead.
I redid the Alec Bradley Black Market Punk. It's a 4.5 by 42 Petit Corona, Nicaraguan wrapper, binder is Sumatra, Panamanian, and Honduran filler. When these first started making their rounds, I didn't get a chance to review it because I only had one, but I really liked it, and they were gone very quickly. So I didn't, get a chance to, get more of them, even though I wanted to. So when they were back in the shop, I grabbed a few this time. This little stick is kind of special, I think, and especially from a brand that's not necessarily been my flavor profile as a whole.
So which one was
Alec
it again?
Bradley, the Punk,
the
Punk. The small Petit Corona black black
market. Yeah. Okay. Petit Corona Black Market, also known as the Punk.
It was earthy. It had like a honey sweetness. It had some pepper as well. I put it as a box split, but if you buy one and you really like it, I could see it being a box worthy for you all day.
Wow.
I
think I also really like it because it's not a brand that I've really jumped head over heels for.
That's true. That affects your rating. If you've got a brand that you smoked a bunch of different blends from, and you weren't really thrilled about any of them, not that they're bad cigars, right? But you just
I'm not poo-pooing Alec Bradley by any stretch of the imagination.
It's just not your profile, and then you smoke one that is in your profile, and you're like, oh wow, that's really good.
Yeah,
but
it really
you rate it higher because your expectations are lower going into it. I think that's an important point.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Mark, have you smoked the other cigars in the black market line? What's your opinion of those?
They're all like kind of, not my flavor profile, except for the Robusto. I think the Robusto is pretty good in that line, but the other sizes I'm not really terribly fond of.
When that's another cigar. When it came out, this is one that fooled me because when it came out in 2011, I had it at the show and I was on it. And, I have a friend. His name is Chunk. We call him Chunk. He kept bugging me. You got to resmoke that. You got to resmoke that. So earlier this year, I finally revisited it, and I was really surprised. In the Robusto and the Toro, that blend just seemed like it was a lot better than when I had it back in 2011.
I have a good friend that
a lot of people that love them.
Religiously smokes the
Alec Bradley Black Market.
Robusto.
Yeah.
Glenn.
We're talking about Glenn. Yeah.
Glenn, yeah. Murders these things. Yeah.
But now I got a pre-release of that cigar that the Alec Bradley rep had given me in the local shop, and I was meh on it in the beginning too. Then I smoked some later on, and I was like, well, that's way better than the one I got in the beginning. So I agree with you there, Will. I went through the same.
I didn't think it had the aging potential. That's what surprised me on it.
Yeah.
That's the one I was.
But now it's not something I go back and smoke regularly at all.
But this size is the belle of the ball for me.
But the Punk, the Petit Corona, I forgot about that one. I'm glad you mentioned it. I want to go back.
I have to try that one.
I want to go back and buy some more of those. That may be one we always want to feature on the show because
I think so. I think that's an Alec Bradley that's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do need to feature Alec Bradley. I think that's a good one.
Yep, I agree. I forgot about that one. I smoked an Arturo Fuente Sun-Grown Chateau Fuente. This is the Rothschild size. It's a 4.5 by 50. It's got the cedar wrapper on it with the black band at the foot. It's a Fuente Sun-Grown wrapper, Dominican binder and filler. Now, the price on this one is $4.50, roughly. You could probably find them cheaper on auction. I will say that the larger size of this, the Chateau Fuente, which is like almost a Churchill or Toro size.
I think it is a Churchill.
That goes for $4.50 on auction. So you conceivably could get the smaller size even cheaper than that. And I just have to say, wow, I couldn't believe for a regular production cigar that regular Dominican filler, sun-grown wrapper. There's a lot of cigars out there like that. The nice flavors and the cedar and the sweetness that come from this small cigar with great value. I mean, the price is fantastic. It's a great size, great burn, draw, construction. It poured flavor. It was wonderfully sweet. It wasn't overly complex, but it wasn't overly overpowering in the strength department either, making this great to go with coffee in the morning. I really loved it. I think it's a perfect size to have with coffee in the morning, right? I don't always like to light up a Churchill first thing in the morning when I have my coffee, right? This is a perfect. I'm calling this box worthy, and I'm putting price. I'll put price in the mix with this too, because it's something that's regular production, low in price, delivers on flavor, great burn and construction. I've smoked several of these. I've smoked several in different sizes in this line. I really like all of them. I think it's a solid smoke. I think it's a no-brainer box worthy.
Sure. Fair enough.
And we talked about that before with Fuente, how a lot of their regular production stuff is. We talk a lot about limited releases and stuff, right? But if you're looking for something to smoke on a regular basis, that I don't think you're going to be disappointed in.
Yeah, like I love the Don Carlos, but that's not a cheap cigar.
No, if that's not to me, you buy a box every once in a while and smoke.
Although they age fantastically.
Oh my God, yes.
But I'll say they're a little pricey to be an everyday smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me.
Mark Jr., I want to talk about the EPC Short Run 2013 Robusto.
Sure. Go ahead.
I smoked one of those. I didn't put it in my notes, but I did smoke one of those. And you bought a box.
I did.
I thought it was more of a $5 for me.
Yep.
But you went ahead and bought a box.
I did.
I thought the strength profile was you kicked up a notch.
Sure. It is definitely a notch above all of the other short runs in terms of strength.
I agree.
Yep.
It had some nice spice. I thought it had some great aging potential in that, I got a little bit of that spice and a little like unbalanced, didn't know what it wanted to do with itself kind of thing. But I thought it had great potential. But to me, that was more of a $5, maybe you buy 10 kind of thing because EPC, I know that his sticks age really well. But you went ahead and pulled the trigger on a box, which I thought was interesting.
I did. I thought when that cigar first came out, quite frankly, I'm going to be blunt here. I thought it sucked. It was like seemingly wet.
Yeah.
Very young. It had burn issues. And I was very disappointed, to say the least.
Right.
I'm a big EPC fan.
Me too. I'm a big fan of the short runs.
I'm a big fan of him and his blends.
There's not a short run that I would not smoke on a regular basis.
Sure.
Put it that way.
And I think maybe a month ago, I did it in the Stogie of the Week. I think maybe a month ago, maybe a little bit more than that. I went back, and it really, really pulled a complete 180-degree U-turn on it, and I thought it was fantastic. I love the way he uses Sumatra wrappers. I think he does. Well, I think some blenders do phenomenal things with certain wrappers, right? Yeah. I think Fuente does a great job with Cameroons.
Yep.
Same with La Aurora. I think Tatawahe does great things with the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro.
Oh yeah.
And I think EPC does good things with the Sumatras, and
it's funny you mentioned that. I think for a box-worthy stick from EPC with a Sumatra wrapper for me is that Cardinal 52.
Well, there you go. That's kind of one of the cigars that I'm speaking to when I say that I think he does a great job with it.
Although I think this short run, though, and we just talked about how cigars age, this short run with time, I think is going to be a more complex blend, and it maybe offer some different components that the Cardinal may not even offer.
And that's why I went with the box.
Yeah. Well,
to be honest with you. They are very limited.
I think you're gambling. I think you're betting the spread on that.
I am. I'm betting the spread on this one. But I think it has great aging potential, and I think that it being that they're limited,
yes,
I went with the box because if they turn out the way that I think they're going to be, I'm going to be very happy with this box purchase. If they don't, I don't think I'll be terribly displeased with it either.
Right. Well, what's your assessment on the?
I love that 2013. I think it's the best of the short runs, and I had a very good experience right out of the gate with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong statement there.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love the short run series. It's probably my favorite annual. I like it probably better than the Limitadas in some extent. It's a strong contender for my top 10 this year. Even the 60 smoked well. I smoked that when I was in Chattanooga. I really and I think the sky's the limit with this cigar. I think we may be talking about this cigar like we talk about the 2011.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were saying the 2011 was at a level it's at now 2 years ago.
What are you talking about? The Bombones? The Bombone was the Robusto size that year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I have now a box of the Bombones. I have a box of the Esquisitos from 2012, and I have a box of these. And I swear to you, one of the biggest regrets I have is not buying a box of the 2010 short Robustos.
Yeah,
those 2010s just kept getting better and better.
Actually, I think the Toro was better in the 2010.
Like I said, in those new wave short runs, those are awesome too. I mean,
the Esquisitos. I have the Robustos. You're a bigger fan of the Toros.
I think I should just buy. I think you just need to buy a box of the short runs when they come out, and just keep going back and smoking them.
Yep.
If you guys haven't ever got your hands on it, they did a short run 2010 in a number 4 for Federal Cigar. Oh, it's in a number 4, so it's a Corona size.
I think I might have smoked one of those.
Wow.
Is it a Petit Corona or a Corona?
No, I think it's a Corona.
I thought it was a Corona.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's a Corona, but wow.
Mark Jr., you want to do one of yours or Will?
I only have one left. Buddy.
Okay, Will.
You know which one it is too.
I got 2 left. Ortega Wild Bunch Fast Eddie 8-ball. So this is the August release of the Wild Bunch, which is the monthly limited edition cigar that Eddie Ortega's come out with. He's making a tribute to various people in the cigar industry. This one is his self-tribute. This is actually a tribute to Eddie himself. Now, the funny thing is it has a theme of pool. And when I was in Chattanooga at the Tweet Up, and there's a pool hall there, and I happened to see Eddie playing pool. And the funny thing is I wish I snapped a picture because the picture on the box, there was a few females there around Eddie, and now the females are on the box, and I'm like, man, that was a Kodak moment there. This is the first Lancero he did in the series. It's actually a 6.5 by 38 Lancero, so it's a little smaller, but that's what he did in the series D Maduro Lancero.
Yeah.
I call it the Eddie Lance, not a Demi Lance, but more like an Eddie Lance. But I love that size in the 6.5 by 38. It's a Sumatra wrapper, so it's his first Sumatra he's done in the series.
A lot of people are really excited about the Wild Bunch Lancero release, which is what you're talking about.
I think that and this was an excellent cigar. It's got it's got chocolate, a lot of notes of chocolate. It's got the Baker's sweet spice that I like to talk about. It's got a creamy undertone. It's not an overpowering cigar. It's medium strength. Starts out medium and it goes to medium to full bodied. Excellent burn and drawer. It definitely ranks in the top 3 or 4, I think, and I've smoked all of them right now, so I definitely put this in the upper half of that. It's box split in my book, and very enjoyable cigar.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. I'm getting confused in my tabs. Quesada Oktoberfest Krone. This is the Oktoberfest release, which we've talked about a lot.
I just smoked one of them actually today, but didn't get it in the notes. Yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit of background on this size. This is the latest and final size of the Quesada Oktoberfest made for national distribution. It's a 5x43 Corona. Krone is the German translation for Corona, which is Spanish for the word crown. Follow me there. Only 500 boxes will be made for sale at IPCPR, and the MSRP will be set at $725. The quote from Terrence Riley on the new size is that he says, "We've had a lot of aficionados show excitement for the Oktoberfest, but felt the brand lacked a smaller Vitola, which they enjoyed smoking most." Although I would argue the Petit Corona or the Kurz fits that bill. But I was happy to see the Corona size. He says, consequently, we felt a Corona would give us one size we were missing in our quest to ensure we can meet the needs of both the traditional Vitola smokers as well as those who prefer bigger ring gauge cigars, which are presently popular. I still think your bigger ring gauge cigars are going to go to the 6x60 in this blend. I said, and that came from their press release, which was published on a lot of different sites, most notably cigar-coop.com.
Of course.
This is another outstanding release from Quesada in this blend. I love this blend. When it's on, I mean it's freaking on, right? But I've noticed a bit of inconsistency. Some of the cigars I've bought in this blend in different sizes, the wrappers appear oily. Some boxes, not so much. It looks like a regular Habano wrapper. Some have a heavy, earthy, musty flavor and smell, which I've experienced, and I've talked to other people who have smoked different sizes and reported that as well, that it has a really heavy, earthy, musty flavor, which I can't get past. I hope they can work out these issues because it only produces these ones that are spot on, because I own boxes of the Kurz and I want a box of these Crones, and therefore it gets a box-worthy rating. It was a phenomenal cigar, in my opinion.
I agree. And when you say final, does that mean that they're not going to extend the line anymore? Or does that mean they're done with this blend?
That came from their press release, so may... Go ahead, Will. I don't know if you got any inside information here.
Well, it's not inside information. This is public. But so that's what they're saying. But the key word you heard, the key words were national distribution. So next week I'll talk about this some more. It's a preview. Smoke Inn has Smoke Inn's a retailer in Palm Beach, Florida. They make the Tatuai Anarchies as part of their microblend series. They just announced that they are getting a Toro-sized Oktoberfest. But here's the catch. It's got a broadleaf wrapper.
Interesting.
So I have not smoked it yet. It's on my queue for tomorrow to smoke.
Oh, you have one? Okay.
I have one, yeah. So that I'm very curious to see what this is going to do in a broadleaf.
I want to go. A lot of places I want to go with this. Also in Quesada, will you put the story on your blog? They've got a new size coming out with a couple different wrappers on it.
New size
of the Oktoberfest.
That's what he's talking
about.
That's
what I'm saying. That is okay. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. That size is exclusive to Smoke Inn. I didn't know that.
Smoke Inn, yeah. It's exclusive to Smoke Inn. Now you mentioned a couple wrappers, and I should point out. So what they did is on the footer, there's an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper on the foot, and what it looks like, it's meant to look like the foam on a beer. They call this the Dunkel.
Yes, the Dunkel. Okay.
The Dunkel. Yeah. So yeah, that is being launched a week from Friday officially. You can actually pre-order it from Smoke Inn right now.
Now the Ecuadorian wrapper goes about halfway through the cigar. So it sticks out of the end of the foot. They mentioned something in that press release that made it seem like that wrapper went about halfway, and then it was a regular wrapper the rest of the way. Is that the deal?
That was a little confusing to me, I'll be honest with you, and that's something I'm going to look at the cigar a little more closer and see, and I can maybe ask those folks a little more on that. Yeah. But they're a good buddy of mine, Toasted Foot, Willie.
We've talked about his blog on the show before.
Who is an absolute stand-up guy. He has reviewed it, so he's got a very good review. I haven't smoked it. I can't say what my thoughts are, but it's a solid cigar. It's in his book.
Now, I wanted to also talk about a little bit about Smoke Inn. I recently placed an order. Now, I want to first preface this with no affiliation with Smoke Inn whatsoever. But I happened to place an order with Smoke Inn. It's not my first order with them. I ordered some 5-packs for the show coming up. And I ordered the cigars. I got an email confirming my order. I got a follow-up email that confirmed that had the tracking information for the package. I received the package on time. Inside of the package I received from them was a handwritten letter. Handwritten letter. This wasn't the handwriting that you can print out like it's a font. This was a handwritten letter, right? Thank you for ordering our cigars. I hope you enjoy smoking them in Rhode Island. I mean, they even personalized the letter to where I was ordering from, and it was signed. The cigars were packaged very well. I got and inside of this package was a Smoke Inn hat. I mean, I didn't order a hat. They just decided to send me a hat. I didn't spend an exorbitant amount of money. I bought 2 5-packs of some premium cigars.
Did you tell them that you were Paul from Stogies?
I did not tell them I was Paul from Stogies. They probably have no idea who I am, judging from everything that's happened. Right? I'm just another customer to them. I got a free hat in my package. Then I get an email today after I received these cigars, which I'll talk about a little bit too. So the free hat, and then I get an email that said, "Thank you for ordering these 2 cigars." So they sent me an email with a link to the 2 cigars that I ordered and said, "Please type a review for the cigars that you've ordered." So they knew, emailing me what I ordered. Now, me being in, a lot of you may know, listening to the show, right? I've been in technology. I started computer programming when I was like 8 years old, right? And I do technology. For them to do that and do all the things that I mentioned is an amazing feat of technology that you have to absolutely respect. That doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by, putting a little bit of effort. That's a lot of effort to go in and email people which cigars you ordered and please go review them, and that whole process and sending the tracking numbers to me. That's an amazing amount of effort, which I greatly appreciate. I thought it was a really good buying experience.
I think they're a premier online retailer.
I agree.
Yeah.
I go to Smoke Inn when I'm in South Florida. I'm going to be going down there. I'm going to try to go by the end of the year, but I'll be going down there in February. They have a big herf called the Great Smoke.
Yep.
I've spent time in that store. It's all genuine.
And they have a podcast as well, Kiss My Ash Radio.
Yeah,
which you've been a guest on. Yeah, you've been a guest on before, and you said you have an upcoming appearance coming on. Will.
Yep, Saturday I will be on there. I don't know what I'm going to talk about cigar-wise yet, but Abe, who's the proprietor of Smoke Inn, started a podcast about almost 2 years ago. He's actually having his 100th show next week, and he's very neutral as far as what he does on the show. So it's not necessarily you don't have to talk about a cigar that he has in the store. He'll have anyone on there, and
he's had a lot of breaking news on that show, actually.
Yeah, he really does. He has manufacturers on, and he's got good. He's very well respected in the industry. Abe.
What's his last name? Abe
Flores. Oh no, never mind. I'm sorry.
No, Abe Flores is a different Pinot Del Rio. Abe
Tabebna.
Okay, I'm glad you said it.
We may have to. Interesting. If we may have to talk because I'm going to go down there for the Great Smoke. Maybe we could time a show from the store there if I could talk to him. Abe's a good guy. He's been very supportive of Cigar Coop. And I know he'll be supportive of Stogies.
Open invitation, absolutely.
Yeah. We should try to get him on the show.
Excellent.
Not a sponsor by any means, but a really good guy for the industry overall. And retailers, there's a lot of great retailers out there, but if you're a retailer starting out, look at Abe's model. I mean, he sets the gold standard as far as I'm concerned.
So we're going to talk about our Oasis cigar as soon as I do some Stogie tips and tricks.
Wow, we're dragging this out.
There's a whole lot more show coming up after this.
Hey,
buckle your seatbelts, folks.
Do you want Coop to do his last?
So some of what we're talking about ties into some of my tips and tricks. So I thought I'd do that now.
Right. Okay, cool.
Like I said, buckle your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be great. So I did get some cigars in the mail. One of which was a package from Smoke Inn. The other which was a package from Will. Now the problem is when I got them, by no fault of anyone's, right? It's just Mother Nature. The day they arrived, they sat out on my front porch for a couple of hours on the hottest day of the month.
By far.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Was 90 degrees.
It was 90 degrees in September with 100% humidity. They sat on my front porch, which faces west, which means the sun bakes on my front porch in the afternoon. And I got home, and to my horror, right, now I'm happy I got my cigars, but the horror is that they were sitting out on my freaking front porch. I kind of timed it. My wife said they weren't there when she left, which was sometime in the afternoon. So there was a couple of hours where they're out there. So I get the packages, take them out of the. So the first thing I do, and you guys, I want you to hear your thoughts on this too. The first thing I do when I get cigars and they've been in any kind of inclement weather, I take them out of the boxes, right? The packaging that they came in. So I opened up all of the boxes and I took all of the cigars out. They were hot to the touch. I mean, significantly warmer than my hand, right? So I was a little worried. So the next thing I did was I opened up the bags that they came in, and I took out the humidity packs. Because my thinking is they've been in a high humidity environment, in a high heat environment for some time. They don't need any extra humidity. Like, any extra humidity is just going to breed bugs and mold, like, even more than the environment they were already in. So I ripped out the humidity packs from those bags, and I let them sit in my house for several hours to basically bring them down from the 90-degree temperature they were at down to 70 degrees. After they were at that 7-degree mark, I put them in the refrigerator for about 12 hours. I then moved them from the refrigerator into the freezer, where I let them sit for roughly 12 to 24 hours. Then after that, I'll move them back into the refrigerator for roughly 12 to 24 hours. Then I will let them sit in my temperature-controlled humidor at 65 degrees temperature, 65% humidity, for maybe a week or two before I'm even ready to smoke them, just because of the tremendous environmental conditions, harsh environmental conditions they've been through in that time. Is that the strategy that you guys would recommend? And I know there's a lot of background information there, but for those listening, I wanted to kind of give some insight.
That is great information. In fact, putting them the way you kind of, and I know why you put them in the freezer. Why don't you tell why you put them in the freezer? Because I think that's an important point, what you did there.
So first and foremost, the freezer is going to kill any tobacco beetles.
Yep.
Tobacco beetles can't survive in the colder temperatures that your freezer can. Even the one in your home is going to kill most of your tobacco beetles, right?
Yep.
It also, and I get mixed reports on this, it does help stunt any kind of mold growth. If there's any kind of mold, I don't know if your refrigerator at home gets cold enough to kill all kinds of mold. It definitely inhibits the growth of any kind of mold that may have been trying to grow in your cigars. Now, the short journey that they made, mold's probably not my top priority. I think it's more the tobacco beetles I'm worried about in that high humidity, high temperature environment. Tobacco beetles are definitely something that's going to hatch in that environment, and I wanted to cut that right off. So, but I think also it was strategic to take out the humidity packs from them.
Well, I think it's also important to mention that as you bring down the temperature, it's also going to bring down the relative humidity as
Humidity.
well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting out in 90-degree weather with 100% humidity, bringing down that humidity is crucial.
Yeah.
Not
so taking them out and putting them in the refrigerator is reducing the humidity on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's important through that whole process, kind of a closing note on that, is to do that. The reason I did the things I did in the order I did, in the time slots I did them, is you don't want to introduce drastic temperature or humidity changes in a very short time frame, right? You want to do that gradually. You want to take them down from when they're very hot to your house temperature, to your refrigerator, to your freezer, and then back again, right? So that it makes a gradual temperature and humidity change, and they'll be totally fine from that. Sure. If I had taken them right from 90 degrees and thrown them in the freezer and then taken them right out, there's a chance they could crack because that tobacco is expanding and contracting all the time. And if it makes too drastic of an expansion and contraction, that's when you're going to have problems. Sure. So make sure it's a gradual change.
And the fact that, a couple of those cigars I know you got from me are bigger ring gauge, that's very key.
Yeah.
That was very important.
Yeah. So, I'm bummed I can't smoke some of the cigars I got right away, but I'm erring on the side of caution, and I want to be patient. So I got the Davidoff Nicaraguan from Smoke Inn. That La Aurora from 2003 was in my Smoke Inn order. And Will sent me some ones. The one in your pack I'm really interested in smoking is that Liga Privada number 9, and almost a Corona size.
You want the story on that?
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit.
It's called the Pequeño, okay? And it was codenamed the Black Rat. It's a tweaked. There's a long story on Cigar Coop how they got to that, but it's a tweaked blend of the number 9 is what it ended up being. Mm-hmm. Steve Saka was handing these out at the 2012 IPCPR in the booth. I smoked it and loved it. I saw Steve Saka at the 2012 tweet up, and I said, "Hey, Steve, I love that cigar. Are you going to release it?" And he said, "Nah, we're not going to release it because he felt it was competing too much with the Dirty Rat, and he didn't want to bastardize this."
Right.
And then he sent me in the mail. He sent me a bundle of them.
Nice.
So it's a special cigar. It's not one that ever went for sale. And I just felt it would be, throw something in there a little different. And we'll see, maybe we could smoke them one time on the show as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I will not smoke all 3. I will share, I promise. So I had a cigar with a slight tear in the wrapper. It was actually a redo of the Fine and Rare from Alec Bradley, the Torpedo from this year.
Last year,
sorry.
Yeah.
So there was a tear in the wrapper, kind of closer towards the head of the cigar, and then it started to cause problems. I think as the tobacco kind of got warmed up a little bit, it started to separate. So I took a cigar so I wanted to smoke this one, right? I mean, these things are like $14 a piece. I really liked it when it came out. I will tell you that subsequent ones I've smoked haven't been as good as when they first came out. This is a case where aging hasn't helped this blend at all. And I almost wishing I smoked all of them as soon as they came out. Aging, it just wasn't that great. But I wanted to smoke it nonetheless, and I was really determined. And I'm not saying you should do this with every cigar, but these are some strategies and tactics I employed to get the cigar to smoke. So I took another cigar out of my ashtray, and I actually clipped like a good section out of it. So I had a section of unsmoked cigar that was just tobacco that had no burning with it, right? And then I slit the wrapper so I could get off a piece of the wrapper, and I licked it really good, and I licked the cigar really good, and I kind of pasted the wrapper over the hole in the cigar, and it actually smoked way better after that, which I had never done before. I actually know there's a lot of guys that will take cigars and like change the wrapper out or double wrap their cigars. I'm not experienced in rolling cigars or repairing cigars. I kind of suck at that, but I did get this cigar to smoke by doing that. So by no means should you be afraid that if your cigar has problems, like a hole in it or a tear in the wrapper, to go ahead and try and repair that with some wrapper from some other cigar. I just used my saliva, and I was kind of off to the races, and it worked great. The other problem was this cigar had a huge void in it. So I'm like, oh, God, this is just horrible experience. So the cigar that I had cut open, I took some of the filler from it, and I kind of rolled it up a little bit, and I shoved it in the hole. of the cigar. I had to do that a couple of times, and I was able to get through the void. I'm not saying this is something you do all the time, but if you're really determined, don't be afraid to kind of doctor up your own cigars to get them to smoke. Right. Now, I did have to really light the cigar and puff on it hard, and it made me kind of lightheaded when I did that. So not sure this necessarily sound advice, but it was a little bit of an experiment. I didn't want to go light up another cigar, so I did a little bit of experimenting, and that's how it turned out. Rolling up the tobacco and putting it in the void, not so successful. I will say that taking the wrapper from another cigar and using it, especially if you can get some paste, some of that, what do they call it, Will and Mark Jr.? The
pectin.
Yeah. It's like a sugary. Some people use sugar. Or
it's a byproduct of processing fruit. If I'm not mistaken.
If you can get some of that, that works way better than saliva. But in a pinch, saliva works too.
It's great. Yeah, well, keep some of that around.
Yeah, that helps with the plugging up a hole, a puncture in the wrapper.
Or a little wrapper tear too. Will do some nice wonders with that.
Absolutely, especially if you got a cigar you really want to smoke that's special. I highly recommend that. Stogie Santa usually does it for me. If I have damaged cigars, I will bring it to him, and he'll repair them, which is great. So don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff. Just some tips and tricks from those of us at the Stogie Geeks. Will, you said you had another cigar to talk about?
Yeah, one more. This is the Juan Lopez Selección number 2, but this is the relaunch by Altadas USA. So this is not the one from the island off the in the Caribbean. So Altadas at the show resurrected the Juan Lopez brand in their portfolio. They actually
so this is not a Cuban.
This is not a Cuban. They had this cigar once before, back in 2007, but they discontinued it and they resurrected it. I believe they gave the Vitola names, though, the same as the Cuban. I think the Selección is the name of the Cuban. It's a Nicaraguan Puro, and it was a good Nicaraguan Puro, actually Habano wrapper. I smoked the Selección number 2, which is a 6x54. It was a good cigar. Classic Nicaraguan smoke in terms of earth, pepper, cocoa, kind of those three things. It's medium strength, medium body. It's not going to overpower you. I didn't have a lot of expectations for it. The box of 16 goes for $92. So you're talking like $5 and change for a box of cigars. It's a $5. It was a pleasant surprise. I didn't have a lot of expectations for it, but it's a $5. It's something check out if you want a value price smoke.
Speaking of not a value price smoke, I smoked a Don Carlos Edición de Aniversario 2007 Toro. This is they produce 700 boxes of 10 cigars, and these are $300 for a box of 10, roughly $30 a stick. It's a Dominican Chateau de la Fuente Sun-Grown Rosado wrapper, Dominican binder and filler. It's a 6 1/4 by 48, and it was released in May of 2012. So this cigar, and that comes from the 50% Flat Tire review, this cigar is very full of, mostly itself. Don't get me wrong, it's a great cigar. It's smooth, flavorful, burned really well. However, the price tag is really just what throws me off. I try to put price aside, but when it's $30 a stick, you got to throw it in the mix as a consideration. I'd love to tell you that this was an absolutely amazing smoke and you should fight Chuck Norris and crawl across a desert of broken glass to get one and buy a box. But, it's good to maybe keep 3 to 5 around your humidor and see how they age when you smoke one every once in a while. Though in that price range, there's a lot of other cigars that you can buy.
I will say this about that. If you look at his second band in his picture, it says 2007. Mm-hmm. There were ones that came out that said 2006.
Yes. Were they Robusto size and Toro size or just Robusto size?
I think they made all 3 sizes they did with these.
I had a 2006.
The Robusto, double Robusto, and the Toro.
Yep.
They were much better.
Yeah, than the 2007. Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying try one before you buy more. Again, I talked about that Rothschild sun-grown Chateau Fuente at $4.50 a stick. This wasn't all that much better than that, right? At $30 a stick, and that's a huge price increase from there. And if you look at what else you can get for $30 a stick, even from Fuente, I'd much rather have a Lost City Lancero, which is
Oh God, yeah.
unbelievable cigar. This one just didn't do it for me. So,
all right,
already.
So let's get down to the brass tacks here.
Let's get down. Now we're going to talk about. We don't have anything else. We're not going to tease anyone anymore, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're done with the teasing. All right. Mark Jr., why don't you start? Why don't you introduce
I'll introduce
I'm going to
it.
give you the honor of introducing this stick because...
Pete Johnson this year has had a banner year, in my opinion. It's been the year of Pete, if you will.
I agree.
There has been 3 damn fine cigars before this one that came out this year. The Cojite, the Noea Reserva, and the Noea 10th Anniversary Wet Pack. All phenomenal. But this one is probably the best of the 3. It's the Tatuaje Black Corona Gorda re-release for 2013. Okay.
So Johnson said on December 15th, 2012 on Kiss My Ash Radio that this cigar would be making a return, right? Previously, this cigar was released in a ceramic jar, which was the first Tatuaje Black Label release. Johnson said this time the Corona Gorda would come in a hard plastic jar. Cigar blend would remain the same. Yeah. So, do you want me to go on with some of the...
So he updated the band. The band is a little bit fancier.
It's a little fancier.
Bit nicer than the previous Black Label. The wrapper it's a Nicaraguan Puro. The wrapper is a sun-grown Criollo from Esteli.
Yep.
The binder and filler are Nicaraguan of undisclosed variety. It's a 5 5/8 by 46, very classic Corona Gorda. They're roughly $10 a piece.
$9.25 in Rhode Island is what we paid for them in bundles of 19.
I think nationwide they're going to see them closer to $10, is what I've heard.
So just a note before you go on, Mark Jr., about distribution, and maybe Will and Mark Jr. can help me out with this because I'm a little confused. The original release I think we got was in 2007 and 2008. It was the same size, same cigar and blend, as Pete said. Bundles of 24 and 25 and 1,000 jars of 19, totaling 19,000 plus cigars.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. The jars came out first in 2007. The bundles were then brought out in 2008.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think you're right on that.
Okay.
Because they were so immensely popular then.
Yep.
I recently smoked one of the old ones.
Yep.
And it was fantastic. So these coming out were like, I couldn't wait, right?
Now, these coming out, to talk about distribution, they came out this month, September 2013. 500 bundles of 19 cigars and 10,000 bundles of 19 cigars for a total of almost 200,000 cigars. And also 1,000 jars of 19 cigars for 19,000. So how many of these cigars are they going to release?
It's a very large release.
Okay.
It will not be...
I got this from 50%
It will not
flat
be
tire.
regular production, but they did a very large release.
They're doing from what Pete
confused.
told me, big one-time production run. He said there should be plenty to go around.
Okay. So there's about 200,000 total cigars released.
Yeah. Which is a substantial release.
Yeah.
In terms of something.
So how many bundles and how many jars are they going to release? Because 50% flat tire said 500 bundles of 19 cigars and 10,000 bundles of 19 cigars. Did they mean 10,000 jars of 19 cigars and 500 bundles, or 500 jars of 19 cigars probably and 10,000 bundles of 19?
No, I think the jars are coming out in the larger release.
The jars are going to be the
That's
larger.
what I believe so too.
Okay. So 10,000 jars and 500 bundles.
Of 19.
Of 19. Each containing
so 10,000
19.
of 19. That's a lot of cigars.
We're speculating that the jars are going to be a little higher price tag than the bundles. Could be wrong.
It's
there.
speculation, but I'd imagine they're going to be close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around $10. You're probably not going to deviate too much from the $10 price.
All right. So, that being said, it's obvious that this is not short on hype, right?
Yeah.
But very rarely does something live up to the hype in the way that this does, that this did for me.
I almost don't want to talk it up too much, but I'm gonna. But
yeah, no, go ahead. We're gonna, right?
Right.
I think you had a much more eloquent way of describing the flavor, so I'm going to throw that back to you.
I said, hands down, this is the best new release I've smoked all year. Quite possibly, it's the best, at least one of the best cigars I've smoked all year, maybe in the past couple of years. It's got everything going for it. I mean, the smoking experience as a whole is just impeccable. I mean, the first few puffs, I couldn't believe when I lit this cigar up, because it's got a closed foot on the end. And when I lit this cigar up... Which I love,
by the way.
I love that, right?
I love that, yeah.
But usually you light up a closed foot at the end and you kind of get some weirdness going on. From the first few puffs, I just got this awesome flavor. To me, it was candy coated with some flakes of pepper. That's what it tasted like to me, right off the bat. And it changes as you go. I got nuts and leather and cocoa, espresso and chocolate. The first third is just amazing. And then as you get all the way down to the end, I was burning my fingers on it, and it never got harsh. It pours smoke. The burn and draw and construction are just impeccable. I mean, this isn't a home run for Pete Johnson. This is a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth inning when you're down by 4 runs and there's 2 outs.
In the World Series.
In the World Series. It's that special. It's that special. I mean, I almost don't want to talk about a cigar in this high regard, but I'm going to because this... And they had just come into the shop. I really didn't let it rest for maybe a day. And it was absolutely amazing. I mean, we talked about aging potential in cigars and how they come in sometimes and they're, this or that or the other thing. This cigar, I mean, people were trying to talk to me when I was smoking it, and I was just ignoring them. I was like, you know what? I'm in my own freaking world right now, and you're not in it if you're not smoking the cigar with me.
So... I did it. I smoked it last night while I was finishing up my Stogies, and I stopped doing my Stogies.
It stopped you in your tracks.
I stopped what I was doing and like really concentrated on the cigar. I am not one to be off the wall with flavors or anything.
Right.
But I will describe the experience as impeccable.
Yeah.
Like impeccable. Special. Very special.
It's everything a cigar should be.
And I will say this. I put Fight Chuck Norris for them. You put Oasis.
Oasis.
I say that's absolutely fair. I think I typically hold off on the Oasis for something that's been aged and I see the actual full potential of it.
Yeah.
But I don't see this being anything short of, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm sort of at a loss of words. So, yeah.
Now, supposedly Pete is reported as telling some people to smoke them now, not to age them. Smoke them.
Bullshit. I had one that was aged from 2007. I smoked it this year. 6 years old. The thing was amazing.
I think Pete Lancero's aged so great.
I think you need a bundle or a jar to smoke, and you need a bundle or a jar to age.
That's going to happen.
Bare minimum.
That's going to happen.
Bare minimum.
This is a double box-worthy cigar.
This is like I'm saving my budget for some other special smokes, maybe some Cubans.
Screw it.
I want 2 bundles of these, at least. At least.
How does it get more special than this?
Yeah.
That's what
it's not a Cuban-esque flavor profile at all. At all. It is a fantastic flavor profile, to say the least, but it is not Cuban-esque at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
And it's not broadleaf, as Zedman points out.
No, it's not. And the
blending.
Hey guys, let's. I'm just going to be honest for 1 second, right? We talk a lot of shit about a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is, and I'm going to just go ahead and say this. This is not bullshit. This is like, honestly, guys, be excited for this.
Yes.
And you will not be let down.
I
promise.
Buy
I
bundles.
promise you this.
And if you smoke it and you don't like it, I'll buy the bundle from you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Buy it. Buy it, Will, because you have an insurance policy in Stogies.
Yeah. How's that for an endorsement for a cigar?
I haven't smoked this, right? But
you haven't smoked one, Will?
Next week to hear Stogie Santa talk about this cigar. I mean, this is going to be must-hear radio for anyone on Stogie Greeks next week because I'm getting he's going to love it, and I cannot wait to hear him talk about this.
All right, here you go. He got 10 bundles in yesterday, and the last time I spoke to him today,
he had 2 left.
He had 2
How
left.
many did he take?
No, sometimes I
don't know if he took any.
I don't know.
Because
usually he doesn't, but in this one,
when,
though, I don't know.
I'm kidding.
When stuff is flying off like this, he typically doesn't. He lets his consumers get at it, but I can't imagine he let these go.
No, what was it? Will, what was the original story with this blend?
It was Pete. The story I heard. The name of it was called the Private Reserve, and it was originally Pete's private blend, and he went to Cuba, and the idea was originally to blend a cigar that was like a Cuban. Mm-hmm. So he started. He made the cigar. It was his private blend. Then it started making its way out to events. Yep. There was a CRA Toro that was released, and then they just eventually, I think, like anything, there was a market for it. They started trickling out.
I had always heard that the original Black Label, the reason I smoked all of the other Black Label releases was because everything I read and everything people said about the original jar release Black Label Corona Gorda was held in such high regard.
Sure.
And that's why, I mean, just goes to show you the power of marketing and having a great cigar, right?
And the Black Label's been good. Don't get me wrong.
I like the Black Labels.
Hey, those Tubos were very good.
Yeah.
Very good for
all the Black Label stuff was good. This one is, I mean, notches
absolutely
above.
Yep.
Notches above that stuff.
It's from a different galaxy. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. Hey, and I'm going to, this is not, I mean, I've already stated today, I'm a big EPC fan. I'm equally as big of a Pete Johnson fan. I think that they both produce consistency regularly in their blends, throughout their blends. When these guys do something special, it really is, right? And this is it. This is it. This is special. Very special.
Very special.
Do we know, when these... I was shocked when Paul texted me yesterday, and I saw him with one of these. Did anyone have any inkling that these were... I had no idea that there were these pre-bundles that were coming out before the jars.
So, I knew because of Stogie Santa.
Okay.
Right? Now, there aren't a lot of people that got these bundles. There's only 500, right? So, realistically, if Stogie Santa got 10, he got 2%. Of that.
I was there, so I was lucky. I happened to be there when he got them. I was there when the shipment came in, and I bought one, and I didn't have time that day to smoke it. And Stogie Santa actually came back in, and he was like, "Did you smoke that yet?" I'm like, "I really didn't have time to smoke that cigar at that day." But I definitely, the next day, I was like, "I'm going to smoke it." I smoked it the next day. It was amazing. And I literally drove, after I finished smoking it, very shortly after that, I drove to the shop and I bought a bundle.
Me too. Immediately.
When I found out they were there, he could tell me that bundle was $300, and I still would have bought a freaking bundle.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Hey, there's been a few cigars that I can think of since I've been on this show that have lived up to this, right? The Maduro, La Aurora, Cien Años is on this level. And we ranted and raved over that cigar.
Yep.
And goes down, man.
So
this is why I love this hobby. Yeah. To be honest with you, it's when something like this comes out. It's why I love this hobby.
So people are asking where the jars are available.
They're not yet.
I'm going to tell you now. If you're listening to the show live, there's a handful of people in the live chat. You better, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., call Mr. J Havana Smoke Shop in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and ask if you can get some, if they have any left. If you're listening to this show in the recording,
too late.
I hate to break it to you, but it's probably too late.
But these will be coming back out, guys. So
they are going to be. Yeah, don't kill yourselves.
Your local Tatuaje dealers will have these.
Call your local Tatuaje dealers. If you don't have one, call Mr. J Havana Smoke Shop. Ask to get on a call list when they do come in. See if they'll do that for you. I don't know if they'll do that for you. They might. If you say you're a Stogie Geeks listener, they might do that for you. Because I'm telling you something special. I don't know if there's ever been a cigar that I smoked pretty much right off the truck that's earned an Oasis rating.
Oh, this was right off the truck. Too.
Yeah.
Like a day after it took a trip across the country. It was like, boom.
Yep.
So.
Do we have a contest question?
I don't know. Coop, Coop, you know Barry
Yeah, okay.
Stein well, don't you?
What was that?
You know Barry Stein well, right?
Yep.
Okay. What do you know anything maybe that our listeners could find on the internet if they were inclined to do a search or anything like that?
All right. While you
that
think
maybe separates.
While you think of that, Will, I'm going to read our winner from a previous contest we ran on the show, and this was the Highlight Cigars. And the question was, what cigar that appears on both Highlight Cigars and Tim's 2012 Top 10 list? What cigar appears on both those lists? The winner receives an epic prize pack, including a CYB Corona, a My Father Bellicoso, La Polina Kill Bill, a K&F Lancero, which we're featuring next week. Might even be next week. We're featuring the K&F Lancero. Padron 1964 Maduro Superior, Quesada Jalapa Bellicoso, EP Carrillo Short Run 2012, Letelier Tramp Stamp, Room 101 Series SA 2013, Fuente Añejo Shark, which is what I'm smoking right now, actually, Padilla Series 68 Torpedo. The answer of what cigar appears on both Highlight Cigars and Tim's 2012 Top 10 list is an EP Carrillo Short Run 2012. A.k.a. the New Wave Connecticut Short Run. Our winner is, chosen at random from submissions that came in this week, Jim V. Jim V, congratulations. I've already actually notified Jim V, and your package will actually go out in the mail tomorrow, of your epic prize pack just for listening to the Stogie Geek Show. That's what you win. Did I drag that out long enough, Will?
Yeah. All right. I'll throw. All right.
So the contest question.
I got some. It could be a personal question about Barry.
Yeah.
As long as they can find it on the internet.
Or use his Twitter to ask him or whatever.
Okay. What car did Barry Stein drive from New York to Miami when he moved to relocate for Miami Cigars?
Okay.
We'll try it. And like you said, if they can Google, use any means possible there to
he's
find that.
MCC Cigars on Twitter.
MCC Barry. And the question is, what car did Barry Stein? You just got to give me the make. You don't have to give me the model. But what car did Barry Stein drive from? And it was a well-documented drive that Barry did from Brooklyn to Miami. You followed him along, and you felt like you were a part of that trip. So people know Barry. If not, they can find out from other means.
Okay. And now I want you to email our new email address, theshow@stogiegeeks.com. Email your answers to theshow@stogiegeeks.com. The old email will redirect, but I want you to email theshow@stogiegeeks.com with the answer as to what car did Barry Stein drive from Brooklyn to Miami when he moved. And that is for the, actually I can hold up the box. The prize pack for this week is the gift set of the Anoranza's gift set. That's right. It comes with, I believe, five cigars. You get the Corona, you get the Robusto, you get the Toro, the Bellicoso, and a 6x60 inside of this wonderful gift set, which is what we smoked on the show tonight, which I thought the Corona was good.
I thought my Robusto was good as well.
We've belabored this show.
Hey, thanks for indulging us today, fellas.
Thank you very much.
And ladies out there.
And I'm going to go smoke one of my Tatawahe Black Label Corona Cordas.
I tell you guys suck.
We'll make sure you get some, Will. Don't worry. Don't worry. You
Not for my staff.
You can't have mine, though.
You can have some.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see everyone on the next episode of the Stogie Geek Show. Or not. There's the music.